Hi everyone, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today, Wednesday, June 18th, 5 p.m. Pacific, to have our regular discussion about U.S. immigration law questions being answered regarding to the general execution of U.S. immigration law. As always, this is educational only, general kind of stuff, not intended for individual legal advice. You should consult with an immigration attorney in private for that kind of stuff. But the immigration world is going up and down. Today had a major decision. But people are very optimistic and is very happy, and people are joyed that apparently DACA, they say, won and is going to continue, but there's more nuance to it, and so I'm going to talk about that briefly. I did a video on YouTube already immediately after the decision came, after reading it. I'm not that optimistic about it as other people are. It is a joyous time. At least it was a reprieve, meaning some more time till to see what the next thing is, but the court did a pretty tacky job at the decision, if I can put it that way, and I'll talk about that in a second. But as a reminder, the videos of these recordings are on YouTube along with clips and a lot more information. Today, as always, we're live Monday through Friday on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, and we're live on Instagram, JQK Law Firm, and you can catch this video again on YouTube, on Facebook, so we posted on LinkedIn and various kind of places, so you could go. And if you have some questions, please throw them out there so we can see what's going on in your world and try to answer some questions. If questions are about timelines, I'm probably just going to skip it because I don't have answers for timelines. No one really has a genuine question about timelines and immigration. So what happened today with immigration deferred action for child arrivals? Well, deferred action, or DACA as it's known, was a program started by President Obama that allowed people who came at a young age and satisfied other requirements to be able to stay in the United States and get a work permit and continue. As soon as President Trump came, he tried to get rid of this program, stopped it so they couldn't renew these anymore potentially, and also stopped the program of doing advanced parole on them. Lawsuits happened. Finally, the Supreme Court made their decision today, and their decision was simply this. It's not that the government can't take away deferred action for child arrivals, it's just the way that they did it and the reasoning they had was inappropriate. So although DACA stands right now, it just means the president could, again, as soon as right now, we'll get a letter, even we could, to say, no, we're taking away DACA and these are the better reasons why, and they could do that. So it is really a temporary reprieve, and it just depends on if the administration wants to continue their push against DACA, and they could very easily do it. Now, they're going to get responses with lawsuits again. It's going to work itself up the chain of command and lawsuits, and maybe 2 years from now, 3 years from now, there'll be another Supreme Court case decision. But it's just constantly this nowhere, going nowhere in these kind of things. So my perspective is we really have to put the pressure on Congress to find a solution for the DACA people that have deferred action of child arrivals, people that are caught up in this situation who essentially have been raised here and don't know their home country, but it's kind of stuck in a weird place. To just alleviate the situation, and frankly, in my opinion, give a path to a green card and eventually lawful immigration or citizenship status. Now, I did do a video beforehand a couple days ago which had a mixed response, and I said if you do have DACA, let's pray for the best, always be optimistic, but be prepared for the worst as well. And I gave options, you can watch that video on YouTube. I don't mean anything bad. I don't want people who have DACA to be leaving the United States, but my argument is that be prepared for every option. Plan to be here and stay here successfully, but if you are forced to leave, prepare for that as well. It's pretty simple, practical advice, so that people that are offended, sorry, but shouldn't be offended. I give practical advice. You always have to be ready for every kind of thing. When President Trump came, even when President George W. Bush came, a lot of people said, oh, this is an awful country, we got to leave. Well, in that kind of situation, if there's not a DACA or a deportation issue, a lot of people do want to leave. I talk to colleagues every day who are getting frustrated with the world in America as it is and are thinking about leaving. So always have that backup plan. And so having secondary passports, this is not information for immigrants, it's for Americans right here. Having a secondary passport is not a bad idea. There are several countries that are opening up to allowing easy ways of getting passports for that country. A lot of countries have easy ways of getting green cards for that country. So, if you could afford it, if you have the lifestyle for it, why not set it up so you have a backup country? Look at all these protests and riots that happen here. If things get really bad, the U.S. starts some crazy war or civil war, whatever happens, you just go, okay, I'm going to go to Montenegro, I'm going to go to Turkey, I'm going to go to South American country right here. Why not? So it's always about being practical. That's my opinion. That's why I never speculate about stuff and only talk about facts as they come. So Chatu says, I've applied for unemployment and I have an alien number, which is our green card is in process. I don't understand your question. Could you rephrase that in a little more coherent way so I can see what's going on? Yeah, I didn't understand your question, so just shoot that up again. Let me see if I missed any questions while I was talking about the DACA program. We had a lot of people join, actually a bigger group. So that was the situation with DACA. It's just this: they kicked the can down the road. The Supreme Court said they didn't take away DACA in the best kind of way, so go do it again. So it's not that much of a victory, in my opinion. So that's that. Sammy, hey brother, good to see you. Thank you for joining. If you have some questions, let me know. People on Instagram, thank you for joining as well. I hate to sound pessimistic and bring the mood down, so many people are happy because of what happened with DACA, and it is exciting. At least people got some more time, but I just try to always think long term, think practical, and be a couple of steps ahead. And just getting happy about getting it's like, some people, there's a saying, I can't remember what it is, but just because someone gives you, a little piece of this is not enough. You want the whole pie. Just if someone gives you some crumbs is not a big deal. And just giving you a reprieve on DACA is crumbs, in my opinion. Chatu says, is that fine? Is what fine? Your question has not been clear. I just said, please, is it fine to file for unemployment? If you lawfully worked and get unemployment, it could be. I don't know your case. That's too case specific for me to advise. Karen says, I wasn't able to apply last time for DACA. Can I apply now? Well, what happened is when the Supreme Court sent the case back, to the question. When the Supreme Court sent the case back, the question is, can you apply for a DACA now if you hadn't done it before? And maybe even advance parole, which is permission to travel, which could create a lot of good stuff and things for you in the future. When the courts, denied what the government did, they reset everything back to the way it was before DACA was removed. So technically, everything's open. You can file for a new DACA if it's appropriate and advance parole. Now, the government does have to create the procedures for that, set it up, and so we have to see how that's going to work out agency-wise. But at least technically, legally right now, it should be possible, but it's not clear how it's all going to work out. So you should be looking into it. If you hadn't gotten DACA before and you want it, it's a case-by-case basis if you want it, looking into filing. And if you have DACA, looking into doing advance parole, permission to travel. Because if you leave on advance parole and come back into the United States, that's a form of lawful entry that could help you potentially apply for a green card in the United States. These are cases, for example, where someone's married to a U.S. citizen, but they enter without permission. If they go on advance parole and travel and come back in, they can then file for a green card from within the United States. It's kind of magic. And so you might want to look into that, though we don't know if that procedure is going to happen or if the government's immediately going to shut it down. I'm not sure, but it's definitely something to look into to avoid having to get what's called a 601A waiver and having to go do consular processing. For those who are going through this process, who have unlawful entry and are applying for a green card through marriage like that, these will make more sense. But it's something to look into. You should definitely think about it. It's not clear what's going to happen, but technically, everything is reset, so it should. But we'll see. We have a question on Instagram. FireMask, waiting for interview dates since March. Should I contact the embassy? No, the embassies haven't shut down, so they're just reopening. Some of them are just being reopened. You have to be patient, and when your embassy opens up, you'll get a notice. If you hear that the embassy opened up and people are getting interviews and they still are not calling you after a couple months, then maybe contact the embassy. Probably just have to wait. 99% have to wait and just be patient. Palx asks, I have a question. My grandma has her oath for naturalization Monday morning and she has to travel. Reschedule it if that's what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Your question cut off. Marco says, who do you support in politics? I don't support any. I actively unsupport everybody. So about politics, whoever is in politics, I don't even know who they are. Tell me I don't support them. I was a political scientist as such for many years, and that was my specialty. And I came to the realization that anything related to politics is disgusting. Rashid says, I came to U.S. on March 20th, 2020. I didn't get my green card and also social. Can I apply for unemployment? You didn't. I don't understand. You came to the U.S. You didn't get a green card. You mean you came in as a green card holder? It hasn't come in the mail yet. Can you get unemployment? Well, you get unemployment if you've been laid off. But if you didn't have a social security number, you probably didn't have a job. So the unemployment laws are employment related. It's not immigration related. But you have to have a job first before you get unemployment. But maybe not. I don't know unemployment laws and stuff like that. So consult with the employment lawyer. Harman asks, can we get marriage license online? It depends on your state and what the current regulations are. So that's something you have to look into. That's a state matter, state by state difference. It's not necessarily an immigration thing. Go to the website of your local county and see what they say. Maybe call them up and you'll get an answer about that there. Paulo asks, got an emergency. Can't she apply the same day for passport? So in your case, you're saying your grandma has her oath ceremony. So when you file for citizenship and you get approved, you eventually do an oath ceremony. It says, I promise to be an American, all this kind of stuff. And they give you a naturalization certificate. This is the paperwork that says you're a U.S. citizen. Now, your grandma needs to travel. Will they issue a same-day passport? No, same-day passports are impossible. That's not going to happen. You could request emergency. It's gotten really difficult generally to get just emergency or expedited passport, but with COVID-19, they've slowed down a lot. So it has to be a very serious emergency. You have to coordinate with the federal building locally, the passport office that you're dealing with, to see how fast they can get it, but most likely that's not going to happen. Maybe they could go to the U.S. Embassy abroad and get it, but their U.S. Citizen Service is not open. It's a bad situation, the timing of it. But I would say first contact the passport office, the federal building locally, and then maybe look into applying for a passport from the U.S. Embassy abroad. But it's just going to be difficult all around. Potentially, it's just a messy situation, unfortunately. I wouldn't recommend traveling until you have the passport in hand. Ambassador Khan says, when is the international immigration will open? I don't know what international immigration will open. Immigration is open depending on what you're looking for, so it depends on what it is, but be patient. There's no time. For the things that are closed, there's no fixed time. Chatu, I did answer your question. What was your question? Let me see. Is that fine? Chatu, your question was really badly listed, so to an extent I can understand it, I answered it. That's that. If you want to reword it and do a better job, we'll see what we can do. Singh asks, when embassy is going to reopen for India embassy? When's the Indian embassy going to reopen? Go to the U.S. Embassy website in India, check that website every day, and just keep pressing reload every hour. And then once it's open, you'll know right there. You'll be the first person to know. Do same-sex marriages give citizenship? Okay, so it doesn't. When a person wants to get U.S. immigration status in the U.S., they don't get citizenship. They get first a green card. After having a green card for many years, they get citizenship. But same-sex marriage can be a way, just like non-same-sex marriage, heterosexual marriage can lead to a green card. So yeah, U.S. recognizes same-sex marriage, and that is a path to citizenship or green card, and eventually potentially citizenship. But it depends on what's going on with your case. So consult an immigration. If you want to contact my office, my email is info@jqqlaw.com. We can schedule a time and talk more about that there. Harmony asks, can you provide a bit of detail about I-944 form? I'll talk briefly about it, but it's complicated. But before that, Fady, USA Moonlight 87, I'm not sure what you're saying there, but thank you for sharing the current, and Suki, thank you for following. Please do follow, like, and join. If you're on TikTok, follow, get more of that. Instagram as well. And on YouTube, click the bell icon, click the subscribe icon to get more video updates just like this and support the channel so we can grow and do more. Support means more videos and more information. So what is Form I-944? Form I-944 is a horrible, horrible form created by this administration according to the public charge edict, or how they made the public charge rule more strict. So a public charge rule says that a person who's going to become a green card holder has to be able to support themselves in the United States and not potentially have to have the government take care of them. And so this has always been the rule. There's a Form I-864 that was there to affidavit support to show that a U.S. person, usually like the U.S. relative, is going to support that person. President Trump took it next level. They created Form I-944 for those applying for a green card from within the United States. And there it's called a declaration of self-sufficiency, and they're looking to see if this person could support themselves. And they made up all these standards. So they're looking, there's like 8 or more things that they're going to look at. And the officer then makes a determination in their opinion, is this person at risk at not being able to support themselves in the United States? So they're going to look at your education. So you have to get education reports, equivalencies to U.S. degrees, your language. You might have to take language tests to show you speak English fluently. How much money you have in savings, or how much money you have in assets, how much debts you have. Have you ever used public assets in the United States? Public stuff like health insurance for free in the United States. That's a major negative. Do you have health insurance? What kind of health insurance it is? What the coverage of that health insurance is? And more. So they're going to look at all this stuff and then judge you to see, will this person be able to take care of themselves or not? If you're younger than 18, it's a negative. If you're above 65, that's a negative. It's a lot of things going on. And so that's a general overview of Form I-944 and what the point of it is. Now, the form started in late February, and as soon as this started, they shut down immigration for the large part for interviews, and everything has slowed down because of that as well. And due to that, we still haven't seen the consequences of this Form I-944. There haven't been any of these forms adjudicated yet. So as of this day, I'm recording this, June 18th, no one has had a green card approved that submitted a Form I-944. So we don't know how strict they're going to be or will be, what kind of training they got. We have no idea. Because of that, when I'm submitting for I-944, I have to overdo it because I don't want to take the risk of people having problems. So right now, a marriage green card application just doubled in space. So if, let's say, if it was 100 pages, now it's 200 pages. It's a lot more extra work. It doubled the time it takes for me to do a green card case because of it. So it's a horrible form. It increases costs, and it's a big headache. And it means you can't even do a case quickly. Sometimes in the past, I could get a green card case done in the US if the clients had all the documents ready and we're good at sharing information in a couple of days. Now it's impossible because we have to get credit reports and we have to get equivalencies for the degree and health insurance documentation, all this kind of stuff, and it causes things to get delayed. So it's just a mess, but you know, that's Form I-944, a little bit about it. I hope that helped, Harmon. Salon asks, USCIS is open if I want to apply for citizenship. Yes, it never closed for accepting citizenship applications. I've been submitting those frequently, a couple of those. So yeah, if you have an appropriate citizenship case, I would say consult with an immigration attorney first to see what's going on with your case, if any issues pop up. But once you do and it looks good, then file for citizenship, yeah. Shuk says, Salam, brother, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, Salam, to you as well. Thanks for watching. Fied, thank you for sharing the current. Izo Lope says, is it true that if you want to send your green card application to send it to application, you have to send it directly to immigration? If you want to send your green, yeah, who else are you going to send it to? If you have a green card application, you have to send it to the immigration department. That's that USCIS. So I'm not sure why that would be under doubt. Lou says, can I apply for DACA now? I just talked about Lou, so maybe catch the video of this, but it looks like it's possible, but we have to see how things are going to work out. But essentially right now, the DACA decision by the Supreme Court, things have been reset to the before Trump stopped it. So it should be, but you know, with the government, you never know. If you haven't done it before and you want to do it, I would begin the paperwork for it right now. Talk to a lawyer or you know, pro bono agencies. I would prepare the paperwork for it and potentially a thing called advanced parole if you didn't have lawful entry, just to have those ready. So if it looks like it's going to be able to do, you do it quickly. But it's not 100% clear how that's going to play out. I hope that helped. Maddie says, I appreciate that you come here and answer my questions. It means a lot to many of us without status. You're welcome. Thank you so much. And it's such a nerve-wracking thing to not have status and try to live in a community and stuff. So hopefully this stuff gets cleared up and you all find a path to be able to, you know, just live here and continue your life and contribute to society here as you are. But thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that, Maddie. Prob says, I applied for U visa a year back for fingerprint validation was done. It showed validation error. I don't know. I got to see what's going on in your case. I can't answer that. You're welcome, Lulu. Fady asks, my son, he have all the green card and needs to marriage and his fiance. Okay, your son, and then he follow up said his fiance, she doesn't have any paper now. I got to see what's going on. Please have your son and his fiance, you know, email me so I can schedule a consultation with them to figure out what's going on. It'll be done by video. You know, it's not private information there. It's not good to talk about it here. Let's have a private session with them and we can take it from there. Amir asks, how long does it take for refugee travel document to come? I mean, 6 months maybe. Go to uscis.gov. There's processing times there. Look up Form I-131 and the refugee travel document portion and see what it says. But, you know, USCIS timelines are really unreliable, but 6 months maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so you might have to do a fingerprinting, which are close. I'm not sure what it is. Putty asks, which state do you practice in? Well, I'm a California barred attorney, but because immigration is federal law, it's the same throughout America. I handle cases from everywhere. Thankfully, it's a cool kind of lawyer to be because I'm not stuck in just California. I can practice immigration law, U.S. immigration law, anywhere in the world. So my location doesn't matter. Okay, so today has been a long day. I had a training session with a lawyer. I had a training session, 1 hour training session with one lawyer, 2 hour training session with another lawyer. I have you know, hour and a half with some employees after this, so it's gonna be a lot of talking. And when I talk, I end up talking a lot usually. And I yell because it's all video, so I'm like yelling at a camera, hey, it's not good for my throat. Amira, thank you, you're welcome. Esau says, what happens after you submit your green card application? I mean, Esau, it depends on what kind of case you have, but you know, it's pending and it's too general of a question. I have to know a lot more about you, so I can't answer these kind of questions here because it could be different for different people. So I don't want to give some answer that's going to be different for someone else and then cause confusion or problems there. It's just too case specific, so I have to see what's going on in your case to be able to answer that. But yeah, so I woke up in the morning, I saw the news about DACA, I had to read the decision, 72-page decision by the Supreme Court. So I had a lot of work through this morning. I had to stop it all because I had to get this in, and I had to put a video on YouTube so it breaks it down for everybody. Again, a lot of people are ecstatic, and it's good news for DACA people, and people support that. You know, it's a little premature in my opinion. Esau says I have SIGIS. So when you have SIGIS and stuff, again, Esau, you're an EB4 case. There's a lot going on. You should definitely consult an attorney. There's a lot of pro bono agencies too that handle SIGIS cases that can help you. That's the way to go on that. Anna says, is it possible to apply even if you aren't legal? To apply for what, Anna? You have to, yes, it's hard to answer that question. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Juicy says, I'm already waiting for the interview schedule, but my lawyer didn't apply for travel pass. Can I apply? If you file for adjustment of status, you could try applying for advanced parole if that's what you mean. So I'm kind of reading into your question because it's not clear. But if you file for a green card adjustment of status in the U.S. And you need to travel, you can't file for advanced parole. It might not get there in time. You might just have your interview in the meantime. Plus, your lawyer may be afraid of you leaving the country, so they intentionally didn't apply for it. They want you to stay here. That's some judgment decision some lawyers make. Yeah, if you have I-485, then you can file for it. Now, if you didn't enter lawfully initially, they may not give it to you anyway. So it really depends on your case. So if, for example, you came to the U.S. unlawfully, then got a thing called TPS, and then you file for green card or file for advanced parole, they may not approve it. So there's just a lot of technical stuff that goes on that I have to know about your case to be able to give good advice on that. So definitely just consult with another attorney, maybe, or me in private or something like that. There's a fee for consultation, so I don't know if you want to do that, but I need to know more about exactly what's going on in your case to avoid creating problems for you down the line. Especially because you're so close to the finish line. Anna says, even if you have been here 20 years. So Anna's been here 22 years, not legal status. Is there a way? Probably not. I mean, maybe DACA would have worked for you. I'm not sure what your background is, but generally, they don't just. I mean, if you've been here for about 50 years, maybe there's a thing called registry. So if you came in 72 or something like that, I can't remember the year, and you continuously were here, maybe something's possible. 22 years, not enough. But there may be some rare options. I have to know more about your background to see if something's going to be popping. So schedule a consultation with a lawyer in private to see what's going on with your case. But yes, I was going to ask for a hardship waiver, but should I wait and see if I can leave with advanced parole? Maybe. So I was talking about this earlier. So if someone wants to file for a green card within the United States, they have to have some form of lawful entry. If it's a green card based on INA 245, which is typically like family-based cases. And so usually you either enter the visa lawfully or you entered with what's called advanced parole. But if you did enter lawfully, you can't apply for the green card in the United States in most cases. And so in these kind of cases, you have to leave the U.S., apply for a waiver, forgiveness for it, then leave the U.S. and go to the U.S. Embassy for an interview. It's a risky maneuver and it's not reliable. So one thing you like to do is have that advanced parole and go and come back. And people who have DACA before Trump came could have filed for advanced parole. Advanced parole means you could leave the United States on a trip for some urgent reason and come back in. And when you come back in, essentially it's a legal entry. And so because it's legal, then you can file for the green card in the U.S. So Patias, should instead of requesting this waiver and going the embassy route, should I try to do advanced parole? Yeah, I mean, it's much better. I mean, a lot of people do waivers. I don't do 6-to-1 waivers. I'm hesitant to do it because I hate people having to go to the embassy, have to deal with that inconsistency, especially if you're going to the embassy in Mexico with Ciudad Juarez, which is all over the place and all sorts of issues could pop up. So if you could stay here and file for a green card, that's much better. But you need to file for that advanced parole, get approved, travel, come back. And so there's a lot of stuff going on there too. But if the Supreme Court decision, if there's one upside, if it opens up advanced parole for even a brief period of time, everyone should jump on that and get it. But advanced parole is discretionary. And the problem with that is with the way the president's administration has put it, they might be tougher on giving out advanced parole. So you need to have a really good reason and document it and try to get it. Hopefully try to maybe do an expedited advanced parole, see what can happen. And then you have to deal with coronavirus too, which is a mess. Again, I'm playing with that. But if you can get it, I prefer to have advanced parole rather than doing a waiver and constant processing. It'll save you like $10,000, $20,000 too. So it's definitely worth the money. Okay, Joyce, thank you for answering your question. You're welcome. It says, I came as a baby. I know there might be some exceptions. You got to talk in private to a lawyer. It's not a forum for that kind of individual advice. Amadeus, how long will it take to get an approval from USCIS if we applied for H-1B as a premium application? Well, if you file for premium processing, which just opened up this month, they have 15 days to give you an initial decision, either approval or a RFE. So I mean, it could be as soon as 2 weeks, or as soon as a week, 2 weeks, or maybe 5 or 6 weeks. It just depends. Let's see. Band 8 Ando asks, hi, can an employer you currently work for here in the U.S. apply for work visa for their employee? In general, employers can file for an employee, but whether they can file for you, it depends on your status and your background. So if you don't have status, you've been working there, you've probably been violating immigration status, which is a serious issue. you may have what's called inadmissibility to be able to get it. So you need to consult with immigration attorney private to review your background first, and then see what the employer can do for you. So I don't know if it'll work in your case. I'd have to study it more. Napoleon asks, how many years of school did it take to become an immigration lawyer? Well, the schooling is the same for every lawyer. It's typically 4 years of college in the United States, or some people take longer. I took 4 years, and 3 years of law school. So 7 years of school, and then the hard part of immigration law is really complicated. So it takes years to be decent at it, even. Because these rules change constantly. As you saw, the DACA rules just change things, and it's so political. Every morning you wake up, the rules are different. So to be decent at it, even I'm not even saying good at it takes a while, and usually you have a mentor, you train with somebody. It's the best way. So the schooling is just 4 years of undergraduate, 3 years of graduate. This is after finishing high school. But then after that, the best thing is to have some sort of mentor to help you through it, because it's very easy to mess up an immigration case. There's so many rules that you have to be aware of that it's kind of scary. So it just every day, because I train and mentor lawyers, you got to catch them, not to do this, not to do that, to say this, not to say that. To get good at that takes years. And I'm still, I'm a professor of immigration law at 2 law schools. I do training programs. I talk about stuff all day. There's still stuff I'm learning every day, and it's never ending. I don't think if I study immigration law, half the day half of my day is studying immigration law. So I'm not doing video, I'm reading stuff. And despite how much I study, I can't say more than everyone, but I'm in the top group. I'm in the Olympic committee of studying immigration law. It doesn't end. It's just constantly stuff studying. And you can catch me. I do a podcast where I interview lawyers in different parts of immigration law, because immigration law is so complex, and I talk about case lists. It's very complex. It's more for immigration. It might be boring for you guys to watch. But it's that complex where I'm talking about this stuff, studying it all day, and it's never ending, and it always changes. But that's what makes it exciting too. It doesn't get boring. Padilla says, I already have an I-130 approved, married to a U.S. citizen spouse. I can't remember your previous questions, but if you're the advanced parole person, I ask, yeah, advanced parole is the way to go. If you can get it, advanced parole is the way to go. So you got to see what needs you have for advanced parole, and if you could show it and file for it, just give it a shot. I don't know what's going to happen, but if you don't mind spending the money on it, I would say mail it in, and then maybe request an expedite later too if it's really urgent. But yeah, I much prefer getting advanced parole rather than doing a waiver. That's 100% better. Amity, you're welcome. Amity, you're welcome. Let's see. Napoleon asks, have you ever heard of Jihan Thomas? Yeah, Jihan Thomas is an immigration attorney in Los Angeles. She's been doing it for a while. She's a nice woman. Yeah, she's within the LA immigration law community. I've seen her. She's a nice person, I guess. That's all I gotta say. I think I've talked to her before, but I don't know her that closely. But I'm really involved in the immigration lawyers community in the U.S., especially in Los Angeles. So I know of everyone or know them in some form or fashion. I'm very active. But yeah, if she's your attorney, I think she'd probably do a wonderful job. Kaylee, thanks for following. So we're nearing the end of the program. If you have one last question, we'll take from Instagram. Our last question is that FD says, hi sir, any way to proactively connect with the field office? My interview was canceled on March 31st. Since then, never got an update. Yeah, that's normal not to get an update. There's no point in connecting with the field office right now. They're just restarting things, so you have to wait for them to contact you. And if you had an adjustment of status, green card interview, that's not a priority. So it'll be at least another month or two before they even think about contacting you. Right now, USCIS is just dealing with U.S. citizenship naturalization cases. So that's what they're focusing on, and they're starting to reschedule those. You just have to be patient. There's no reason to proactively try to contact them. There's no way to do it. They shut that avenue off. There used to be a way, but even if you did, they would just tell you to wait. That's just what's happening right now. So you just got to be patient a little longer. Unless you have a citizenship case, it might happen sooner, but in any of these scenarios, you just have to wait a little longer. Bad news, I'm sorry. I wish it would have done faster, but that's what it is. But that's it. Thank you for the question. I appreciate you following on Instagram. All right, everyone. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. Today was, Thursday. I'll be back again tomorrow, last day of the week, Friday, June 19th, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll be on Facebook Fridays, and every day, every weekday on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, and the videos here on YouTube. I try to change the suit every week, so it's the last day of the gray suit and white tie. I gotta see what color I'm gonna wear tomorrow. I have different suits, but I watched the video, they all look the same color, so the black and blues all come the same. You're welcome, thank you so much. All right, everybody, God bless. Come back tomorrow, 5 p.m. We'll get to your questions there. See you later.